We're going to tackle the big picture tonight.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Alrighty, back with a fresh new episode. A couple of weeks off for the July vacation season. Yes, it's hot as heck out there. I almost wore my shorts tonight, just to kind of stay in the spirit. Although I don't have socks on, so that's kind of. Do you need to know that? Why not? How are you? The president's not that good. He's got COVID, and it's kind of funny. The world stopped as if it was, you know, a major development with the president. And as you are watching the show on Friday night and Sunday night, know that we tape this conversation, as most of your regular listeners know, on Thursday afternoon. So the news just kind of broke a couple of hours ago. I'm guessing with Paxlovid and everything else that he's got at his disposal, and an army of doctors, that he's going to have some sniffles, a scratchy throat, and continue to do business. But it was interesting, and I don't have anything deeply profound to say about it. I have a whole bunch of things on my agenda today, including discussing the president's polling numbers, the January 6th hearings, which again, last night for you, tonight for us as we're taping, the final episode, so to speak, at least on the current schedule. The Supreme Court decisions and the repercussions of that and all of that, all on the topic and agenda for my friend and political scientist from Providence College, Joe Cammarano. So rather than just opining about it, I'll just bring Joe in, who is wearing his summer garb too. You know, you know what? I'm starting to wear shorts when it's 98 degrees.
It's almost
outside.
100 degrees. First time I'm in the studio since the pandemic hit.
Yeah, you've zoomed with me. You've hung in there with me through thick and thin, and I don't know. Joe texted me this week when we put this together. He says, "Yeah, I'm going to surprise you." So, look, all I know is that Joe's been on the air, a couple of dozen times, and the famous predictions that he and I made early on in the Trump in the Trump era have lingered over both of us, and as we mutually promised not to make any more predictions. But maybe are you making a prediction tonight?
I am not making a prediction.
All right. Well, thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Maybe frame the context a little differently on a thing or two.
Okay, cool. Well, your take on the Biden news as we speak on Thursday afternoon.
You know, we're at a point in this pandemic where science has prepared us for COVID when we get it, rather than prevent us from getting it. And so COVID keeps mutating because that's its job, is to continue. But in order to do that, it has to mutate in ways that it can survive. And the way that it's been mutating, it seems to be a much less lethal version. In addition, we've developed better treatment, we've developed better drugs, and we have several boosters. Science has won out in some ways, and so Biden getting it 2.5 years in doesn't worry me as much as President Trump getting it in the middle of the worst phase.
Yeah, it was interesting. Did you get a chance to watch any cable network coverage of this today?
I watched Fox, yes.
Oh, you watched Fox?
Yes.
You know what? Okay, so we split the difference. I had seen it in MSC on, not by ideology, just because that's where the channel flipping went. And I was just busy. You know, it was on the background. First, it broke. I get a call from my producer. Guess what? Show's changed. Biden's got COVID. I'm like, I'm talking about the radio show now. I'm like, okay, hold on. It's Omicron. He was here, ironically. He was here, landed at TF Green on Wednesday, yesterday for us as we're taping. By 3 o'clock, this thing will probably settle into the news cycle, so let's not blow up what we have planned for the show. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, interesting. But the same kind of urgency was reflected on the cable news networks. You know, this just in, the president has COVID. And while appropriate and understandable, because they've got all that time, on their hands, the repetition of urgency as the network anchors are almost convincing themselves, to your point, of the calm probably on the other side of the television, meaning the viewers. There was this, Weird juxtaposition.
Well, you know, we're here without masks, and you know, CDC is saying if you're in public in an indoor facility with a bunch of people, you should wear a mask. But we are in a different point in this pandemic. I've had it. You've had it. I think a couple times.
Twice.
You know, I'm triple boosted. You know, that doesn't seem to protect us as much from getting BA.5, but it seems to suggest that it protects us from getting a bad case of it. And so, you know, it's just, we fine tune. That's the beauty of science. You keep going around and refining and getting better and better. And so we're better equipped to deal with it now. And so we have to wait and see. He's 79 years old. It's in a high risk category, but he seems pretty healthy, even if he falls off his bike every once in a while.
You know, and he's got an his interesting gait. It's a little bit stilted these days, but you know, but down the stairs he flies. So he's got some, you know what? Check me out after sitting for 3 hours and watch me and my knees. You know, so there it is. Anyway, I thought maybe we would get to this a little bit later on, but while I'm at it, and while we're talking about the president, Matt, if you can throw up a headline or two on the president's poll numbers, they continue to slip. So now, come off your common sense on the virus and right to your expertise in terms of the political science of the polling data. What's it tell you?
You know, in a normal year, kind of like I did in 2016 when I made the big mistake, I would say
There's the big lie, and then there's Joe's big mistake.
That's right. I would say it's over for the Democrats, that Biden's poll numbers combined with the inflation rate probably would predict a big loss for Democrats. But I'm not willing to do that yet for a lot of reasons. One, our inflation rate is actually no worse and actually a little better than most other countries. And the dollar is stronger against the euro than it's ever been. And so comparatively speaking, the American economy isn't as bad. Now the problem is we don't think that way, and voters don't think that way. You know, normally Democrats would lose 50, 60 seats in the House, and a few in the Senate, although the Senate...
Normally because of the conditions, or normally because of the normal cycle?
Well, there are both. That the cycle, the president's party usually loses in the midterm. But in terms of the indicators that best predict the aggregate outcome, it's bad news for the Democrats, presidential popularity and main economic indicators. And so in a normal year, but this is not a normal year. And if Trump does get into the race, those things aren't going to be as important. Trump will be more important, and that's not good for Republicans.
Okay, elaborate.
Well,
so now all the questions are: does Trump get in? And if so, when? And does he jump the shark here a little bit and
he
go
gets in when he thinks financially it's gonna be better for him to be in than out.
Okay, so there's a lot of concern amongst Republicans that he gets in before the 2024 elections, or at least, you know, by the way,
you mean
what is
2022?
I'm sorry. Thank you. The 2022 elections. By the way, this getting in thing is also now a moving target and a moving definition. In the old days, when somebody announced they were running for office, it was as lock and solid. The way things are announced, and with him, he could say one thing and do another at any particular time, right?
Right. Traditionally, you form what's called an exploratory committee, and that's when you're kind of unofficially in, and then you have your official announcement several months later. That's a way for you to raise some money, to test the waters, to see if you can get support, hire the right people. With Trump, you know, it's a one-man show. And it's all about him. It's all this sort of pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And so Trump defines being in as him saying he's in. And I think he's worried about DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis is a formidable primary opponent. He's smart. He's more conservative than Donald Trump. And he knows how government works, unlike President Trump.
And divisive in his own state, having only won by 30-some-odd thousand votes. And Florida is, I don't know, a large microcosm or reflection of the division that exists. It's a rough go down there. Well, people who love him. People who don't in a big way.
I know. But remember, Jimmy Carter got defeated right before he ran for president, too. It's not uncommon for governors not to do well. Bill Clinton got defeated after his first term, and then he had several others after that. But it's just because he's controversial in Florida doesn't mean he's not a formidable candidate. And with dark money, meaning we don't know who's giving it and they can give as much as they want, DeSantis can actually raise a whole lot of money really fast.
Speaking of losing and then succeeding on the national stage, is there a chance that Liz Cheney, A, loses? It's a high probability that she could lose her primary for Congress and still rise on the national scene here?
I think if Liz Cheney loses in her primary, she will have a more nationally legitimate focus.
Meaning that sword fallen on will elevate her persona?
Every time I see her, I think about the book that Kennedy supposedly wrote, John Kennedy, Profiles in Courage. She's a profile in courage. She's doing the right thing for the country, even though she knows it's going to ruin her career, and she's willing to do it. And history's going to treat her well, and I think the future in politics is going to treat her well, even if Wyoming says get out of here.
All right, when we come back, that's a segue. We'll talk about the January 6th hearings when we return. Stay with us. All right, well, the cumulative impact of the January 6th hearings, I think, has been made. What the final primetime hit last night for you, tonight for us as we tape on Thursday afternoon, and of course if you're watching on Sunday a couple of nights ago, is to be determined. But I do believe they're going to try to really isolate this timeline of Donald Trump remaining positioned in the dining room, watching television, and doing relatively nothing. We've seen enough testimony already that leads to that picture, including the Chief of Staff's top aide, Ms. Hutchinson, and her description of all of it. So it's not like we're going to be ultimately surprised about what's here, but the impact, I think, of the timeline is going to be profound, I think.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're looping back to the beginning. And so they've gone full circle. And tonight, they're going to be in the room with Trump. The last time it was, all right, this is what I saw, but I wasn't really in the room with Trump. Tonight, we're going to hear about the people who were, including a very important person who resigned that day. And so I think the narrative that they have is that all this awful stuff happened. It affected all these people. It was part of a larger pattern of destruction of anything in his way. And he did nothing knowingly because that's what he wanted. And I think tonight is the final sort of line in the story. And it's interesting to see who they're focusing on. Republicans have been the most astounding witnesses. The Speaker of the Arizona House, Judge Ludwig, and Hutchinson. It's extraordinary to hear these people because they're clearly in pain because they have to tell the truth. And they want to tell the truth. And it's a bad truth. And we're going to see more of that tonight. And not going to move many people.
Well, it's okay. Okay, so that's... So I think we see a mild erosion of support. I mean, there is a wear down on Trump's persona based on this stuff, and again, one can argue that the entire thing is designed to wear him down, or the entire thing is designed to tell the truth, and create a historical record, and perhaps lay out evidence to be pursued on a different level, which is from the Justice Department and a criminal probe, but all those things complicated to put in order, being what they are, he has suffered a little bit of persona erosion. There are more Republican candidates who are voicing their potential inclination to want to be the Republican nominee. What do you think? This is not prediction, but just what your gut say about what the we're laughing at each other. We got to be real careful doing these prediction things. What do you think is at the end of these hearings Trump's biggest liability, politically or potentially criminally?
Well, I think Trump's biggest liability is already here with us. That people with a conscience, even if they have ideological predispositions to support Trump and to stay loyal to him, have got to be honest with themselves. And I think it's already happened. Tonight's the end of the story, but we kind of know what the ending is going to be already, and so we just want to see the final episode.
I'm not sure that this is the end of their work, though.
No, it's not.
I think they're going to post a couple of more, at
Well,
least.
they're hoping to get Mike Pence, but they're not sure they're going to get. And there are a few other big names that they're hoping to get. And they have the final report that's going to come out in September. I think the Justice Department is a parallel track, but not necessarily affected in any way, shape, or form by what's been going on, although I did read something about Hutchinson's testimony alerted the Justice Department to things they hadn't found yet. And that's normal because they have to go through due process.
And then there's this thing about the Secret Service, the tumult of the Secret Service, and whether or not the Secret Service...
They were in cahoots with Trump. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. Magically, they replace the phones and they all get deleted a week after it's requested that they preserve them. There's no other excuse. So they can't be that incompetent.
This is what's always bothered me, speaking for myself, about Trump. Not the politics, and not even necessarily the erratic behavior and the lack of presidentiality. Those things bother me, but not nearly as much as the decay of institutional behavior and trust.
Right. And I think,
the Secret Service is like untouchable in terms of integrity, we think. And now we see that the human condition is also impacted.
Well, Trump is shrewd and he's smart, and he knew that what he had to do is he had to put people he wanted in charge of the Secret Service. And for the Secret Service to allow one of their officers to become a political appointee and transfer over and then transfer back afterwards is unheard of. It's astounding, and it shows you the depth to which Trump was able to co-opt them. So
right.
he was able to.
10-second thought on the hearings.
Yeah,
final impact on the country.
I think we need to see whether citizens are going to step up and open their eyes and be honest with themselves about the truth, because it's a bad, ugly truth that could destroy our democracy.
All right, we'll take a look at some of the things happening here locally. Got some big political races. Rumor anyway. Stay with us. So there's not a lot of data available for the local races these days. In the old days, there was much more, but the latest Globe poll, which we've kind of churned over here over the last 4 or 5 weeks, shows a very interesting set of dynamics for the two big races, if you will, the congressional race in District 2 and the governor's race. Let's talk about the CD2 for a second. Interestingly, in what is a much more blended colored district, red versus blue, the second district, to replace Jim Langevin, who decided not to pursue re-election. Alan Fung leads all Democratic primary folks. I still think he's got a very difficult needle to thread to be elected, but what's your take on him?
Well, he has name recognition. He ran for governor twice, and so it's understandable. He is a good candidate, and he's generally a capable politician, and so I'm not surprised he has high level of support. The polling numbers, you got to be careful. Snapshot, high margin of error, but I'm not that surprised. And Magaziner is not a good fit to this pinkish blue district. It's blue, but it's got a shade of pink.
I mean, I'd be a monkey's uncle if he doesn't win the primary.
I think he's almost certain to win the primary, but I don't predict.
Right, we don't make any predictions here. Joey Fox is a really good candidate.
I've seen her.
She's a very good candidate, but I don't know how she gets there from here. The institutional support, political institutional support for Magaziner, I think, is too hefty, and the money that he has is too much.
Yeah, Fox is a perfect candidate for 40 years ago. And the system's changed, and Magaziner is a better candidate for the current system.
Now, Fung, you say he's a good candidate. I agree, and I've always been fond of him, but I'll tell you, he can't answer a doggone question directly. And the Roe v. Wade implications here are significant in that district. I don't even know that the answer is as important as being clear and specific about what you will do when and if a vote on a national bill on abortion comes up.
Yeah, and I think his biggest liability is Alan Fung may be a moderate, but he can't run as a moderate. because that's not where the money's going to come from. The money's going to come from donors who want him to toe the line for the Republican Party, which is now far more conservative. And so that's why he's doing doublespeak, and on abortion it's not going to work. You know,
Which could cost him.
it could, yeah. That's why, even though he's a good candidate, I'm not sure he's going to make it this year. He could.
Talk to me about the governor's race.
Sure.
You still, by the way, the congressional race still has a significant undecided proportion in it. So too does the governor's race. What's your take?
Yeah, I still think it's a toss-up. It's going to be who gets the boots on the ground and mobilizes and gets their supporters out. Gorbea probably has.
You think that more so than the advertising battle?
Oh yeah, the advertising battle is virtually unimportant, except for people who talk about it. Yeah, no, the advertising won't do anything in the primary. Mobilization. Getting your people to call, to knock on doors, to drive others to the polls, making sure that the targeted districts get the higher turnout.
So labor organizational support for the incumbent matters?
Teachers, labor unions, and any other enthusiastic supporters for a single issue.
The governor's been suffering with kind of a a lingering set of issues that, and again, full disclosure, he's a friend of mine, and I think he's a good man. I think he's honest, but he's got some lingering issues. One of which was resolved this week with his former chief of staff not being charged criminally, but still being labeled as a bad actor. Rightly so, I think. And then there's this other ILO contract thing, and the letters FBI get thrown around.
Right.
But he also hasn't done any advertising until the mom ad, the mother ad came out this week.
Right.
When he invests, that'll recalibrate everything, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who was written off when he ran for lieutenant governor, and he ended up beating a very formidable, very good candidate. And so don't ever count him out. But yeah, he's kind of like Fox. 40 years ago, he was a great gubernatorial
Give me
nominee.
10 seconds on SCOTUS and what it's done to the culture.
I actually think that the overturning of Roe v. Wade ultimately good for the country because it is a political question that should be solved. I'm just worried about how it's going to divide the country geographically.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. You did surprise me to suggest that it was good for the country.
Save the best for last.
Wow. All right. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Final word when we come back. Summertimes used to be quiet. No more. So stay tuned. Weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRI. We'll see you back here next week. Thanks for tuning in. Stay cool.